Howdy, girl. Hello. How are you? Howdy or hello? Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, to the weekly Pink Eye Show. This is my little weekly show thing where I talk about movies and give a little bit of an update on what's going on in the world of Pink Eye Pictures. So, hopefully, there is a sense of longevity to these things and also give you a little bit of like it's a little bit contemporary. It's kind of real time. You get to know what's behind the scenes of a production company, or at least a tiny production company. That's a deal, but I want to do something where I don't constantly make random boring stuff after seeing a movie every single day, because that's a little exhausting. I see up to 5, sometimes 7 movies a week. It depends on my schedule. It varies because I'm a businessman. I have meetings to attend to, which are really just getting food with friends and writing with them, which is honestly the best thing ever. But to introduce myself, I am Sergio Javier Valverde. I am the head of Pink Eye Pictures, and I am a Mexicano. I am a filmmaker. That is my bread and butter. But as the head of Pink Eye Pictures, we make a variety of content. Right now, we are focused on Spotlight. We have one more episode lined up for that to come out hopefully in the next 2 weeks. These things take a while, and I have hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of backlog of Espectaculo Cine Show, which is a little kind of talk showy, kind of podcasty, kind of reaction. But we talk movies on there, specifically short films. We watch them, we give our based takes, and kind of uplift and give a stage to some of these potentially lesser known artists to try to encourage artists and just continue to uplift others. And that's the essential gist of things. I don't like to shit on people's works because I am a filmmaker. I know how that feels when someone tells me, Herm, what you did is bad, unsolicited. So I get it. I constantly strive to avoid that type of commentary because I think that's boring, it's demeaning, it's not inspiring. I love movies. I like talking about them. And I love the people, or at least I love most of the people that work behind a lot of these projects, because it's a labor of love. Most of the time, I understand and I respect it. And so, moving on to some of the movies that I watched this past week, Alien Covenant, Cuckoo, and what was the third one? I saw Cuckoo twice. That can't be my third. I know there was something else that I'm blanking on. What am I missing? It wasn't Listen, because that was an entirely different thing. You know what? Cut to when I figure out the third movie that I watched. Let me start off with Cuckoo. I love Hunter Schafer. She's amazing. She's my favorite. She's just I'm gobsmacked by her performance, her evolution as an actor, her passion. I love how much she puts into her roles. I didn't get to see her in Hunger Games because I'm not much of a Hunger Games fan. Pardon my French, but I'm just not. I didn't get to see her in that, but from what I heard, she was amazing in that as well. But she's like becoming this really well developed actor, and it's just completely phenomenal in everything she does. And I'm just like, Cuckoo was just fantastic. I love the premise. I love the idea. Also, spoilers. Spoilers if you haven't seen this movie, okay? But I like Cuckoo in how it's an approach to, it's obviously the motif. The cuckoo bird does get into these nests and lays its like egg. The egg hatches, and then that bird kind of, because for some weird fucked up reason, it pushes the other eggs out. Evolution. So it has this conversation about evolution, what it means in just humanity, and they introduce these cuckoo variants of humans, I think. I didn't fully understand whether these were like mutated humans or these are just like Neanderthals and the other type of Neanderthal. They weren't, because it was Neanderthals in the beginning, and then there was a different type of human that the Neanderthals, I think, murdered or like caused to go extinct. So I don't know what the case is here, whether it's just like, oh yeah, we're related to monkeys and apes and such, or is it, a human that was experimented on and genetically altered and all this, because it's such an interesting concept on how it plays with the hypnotic audible. That's how it like reproduces, not by just laying its eggs. It literally lays its eggs inside of another biological woman, and I don't know, it's an interesting process because it replaces the eggs of a woman. So the eggs inside of a woman that become dude, I'm starting to get into the biology of things. I don't know the terminology, not to just like ick, but when the eggs become fertilized, it's not the woman's eggs, it's the cuckoo's eggs. So it's a really interesting way on how it survives and continues to develop, and I was really interested to see how this became what it means, because towards the end of the movie it's revealed that the kid is Cuckoo human something. They gave it a Latin name, I forget what it was, but it was a really interesting, and it creates this conversation about evolution, about preservation, about whether humanity has a part to play in it, and the invasive nature of just humans in general, specifically men, to kind of lob themselves into particularly a woman's biological processing. It sounds so bad. I need to backtrack because it's such a because the villains of the movie, the antagonists of the movies, are men. They are like meant to be these like, oh, you do as I say, darling, type of thing. And I know what they were going for, but the way I'm talking about it sounds very incel like, and that's not my intention. But I feel weird just saying biological female. I'm fucking traumatized by Reddit, but it goes that direction where these men kind of put themselves in positions of power of deciding on their own accord that they're the ones who are in charge of the cuckoo, of what the women do, of like this weird preservation, we must continue the species type of ideology. And it's very unsettling, it's very uncomfortable. And Dan Stevens, who plays one of the antagonists, is just completely brilliant. There's a moment towards the end of the film where the parents kind of, I don't know, it's interesting because it's a very, very intentional metaphor. And when at the end, Hunter Schafer's character goes into the hospital to save her sister, and the parents are driving off, and that's the last we see of them. And so I'm really interested to try to think about what that metaphor means. But I absolutely adored Cuckoo. I saw it twice. I think it's a phenomenal film. I love Hunter. I love Dan Stevens. I love the minds behind this. I didn't do enough research to remember who it was, but props to everyone. And I think the Cuckoo creature is a very interesting design, and how it mimics. It does mimic a human appearance, but I think it's just like the Cuckoo is a human, or appears as a human, and then something inside of them is different, where just the sound design and the way that the throat kind of like, it doesn't do that, but like the throat, like it does this weird visual effect thing that I'm really curious on whether they did practical, because it looked practical. It's an insert, very, very close up of the throat, and like it bounces, does this like echoey thing, but it's really cool. And I just found that completely fucking fascinating. But I love Cuckoo. Fantastic movie. Alien fucking Covenant. It follows that same trajectory, that same conversation that like Cuckoo kind of explores and it touches upon a few of the similar themes of Alien Covenant. And obviously Alien in itself, through the span of its entire fucking franchise, is always about, very anti-capitalist, anti-colonialist endeavors, themes that I wish more of the films covered. I love Alien 1. I haven't really seen the ones that followed. I really appreciated Prometheus and Covenant. I really, really like Covenant and its conversation with, mythology, philosophy, with this idea of birth, life, the cycle, evolution. So it touches a little bit also on what Cuckoo does on evolution, on humanity, our place in the world. But Covenant brings it back to its roots of being this like space horror thing, survival, where it does touch and talk about a little bit of the anti-capitalist themes, but it also really hammers home on like the ideas that Alien 1 first grounded this series on this alien being product of humanity's ambition, fallacies, that sort of deal of humanity not being humble enough to not play God. And I think Kaylee Spaney, I'm blanking on the actor's name, but the guy who plays Andy, the android, they're just phenomenal throughout the film. I think it is one of the better Alien films that I've seen. I've yet to see Aliens or all these things. I've seen Aliens versus Predator as like an 8-year-old, and I fell in love with it because it's just dumb fun. But that's, I think, timelines, blah, blah, blah. But I love Fede Alvarez, who is one of the writers and the director of the film. He's just phenomenal. I remember seeing him and Guillermo del Toro talk at the Latino Filmmaker Summit, something like that. Conversation was amazing. I'll have to link it down below. But I just love Fede. I think what he's done in the horror genre, he takes, because he's done the reboot of Evil Dead. Well, not a reboot per se, but like a remake / reboot sort of deal of Evil Dead, where he takes it into his own and spins it and does an interesting job with it. And then he did Don't Breathe, which follows similar footsteps of horror. Fede has found his footing within the horror genre, and he does a really great job in crafting a story and also delivering a lot of the thriller, the suspense, the stress of horror. I think Alien Romulus does a fucking fantastic job in just giving you that horror, that thrill, that sense of impending doom of like, oh shit, I really want these characters to survive, but I know a lot of them are just not going to. And he's just phenomenal for that reason alone. And at any moment, the mic might cut out. But moving on, I figured out what was it. Didi. Didi is just, Didi. Fuck me. Because Didi is just one of those films, man. It's those films that really hits you. And it's just such an incredibly hard watch. Not because it's bad, but because it makes me deeply uncomfortable. And uncomfortable doesn't mean it's bad either. It just means it challenges me, and that's a good thing, because it takes us on this journey of a little kid who is going into his freshman year. We follow him throughout summer as he tries to figure out who the fuck he is, and he's growing up as an Asian American immigrant. Well, his parents were immigrants. He was born in the US, and growing up as well during the digital age, and what that really means, how that affects him. And it's just a really incredible depiction of that growing up, of that reality in the mid 2000s going into 2010s of Facebook, MySpace, of like messaging people online, of trying to figure out who you are, and just being a completely stupid dickhead. And it's such an incredibly tough watch. It depicts young boy growing into someone who might be a good person, who knows, but just that struggle of of that aspect of growing up, of trying to find yourself, not really feeling like you belong anywhere, of just tolerating anyone's treatment of you because they have you around, and that heartbreak reality of knowing, oh, this isn't how I deserve to be treated, but no one else, can, no one else is around, and no one else will have me. So I'll deal with the abuse, with the humiliation, with the ridicule, and all these aspects. And it's incredibly hard to watch. It's a beautiful fucking film. I love Didi so much. It makes me it genuinely brought me to tears, and just talking about it, because it feels so close to home. Growing up as a Mexican American kid, in the mid 2000s into the 2010s, of growing up in that digital age, of how incredibly anxiety inducing it was. And I don't know, I feel like people, we don't fully comprehend the extent of what that did, of growing up in that environment. But it's such a difficult film to talk about because it touches so many things, and I deeply relate as a young boy born of immigrants, of not being white or straight, you know or at the time I didn't know I was not straight, but just figuring myself out as a kid in this digital age that no one has really understood yet. And it's such an incredibly tough fucking film. It brought me to tears. It's one of those movies that I would never watch again because of how just harrowing it is to talk about. But those were the fucking films. Go watch them. I'll be doing this every week. I'll try to release them like Sunday morning or some shit. Something to have your oatmeal with. But I really love film. I love cinema. I love talking about films. This is gonna be my regular thing where I use this to make clips on YouTube and Instagram and all these things. Please like and subscribe. We got a lot of more things coming along. We are in pre-production for a new interview series focused on filmmakers, actors, etc. And it's just pretty much a series of me taking my friends out to lunch or dinner and talking about their films and what they're working on, and the craft of what it means to be an actor, of a filmmaker, a writer, a director, of all these things, because I'm always trying to improve my craft, and I want to learn from some of these amazing, beautiful people, and glaze them up a little bit, and as well as Spotlight. That show is going to go on hiatus for a bit until I figure out, whoa, I should probably make another channel or something. But we're going to work on that as well. But we're ramping up to production for our next show, the Filmmaker series. Hopefully we can share a look at it sometime soon. And obviously we have a Spectaculo Cine show, which is currently editing. We're in post-production for a lot of that. We've shot so much. You have no idea. And I'm going through tons and tons of hours of footage along with an editor. And as well, I have 2 films coming out. We're going to do a little live event there. But I got 2 films coming out. It's Okay and Scenes from the Life of a Demon Hunter. Now, these are going to be interesting films. We have a Demon Hunter trailer out already. Go check that out. But It's Okay, I'm going to work on a little bit more, but we're going to have a little screening for it, and then shortly, a couple weeks later, we're going to release it. So, hey, thank you guys for watching, like and subscribe. We got a lot of things coming. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you watch those movies. Keep loving film. Keep creating. Keep telling your stories, because they matter. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys, and ladies, and NBs, and everyone, and I'm sick. I want to die.